So, Isa,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. So I thought we could have a little chat about UGC content and how it sort of benefited in like the social media world, because all I see now on social media is like short form content. So how do you think it sort of impacted, because obviously you're the UGC queen at the moment, so how do you think it sort of impacted like social media?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's made an absolutely huge impact. It's something that kind of came into force around 3 years ago-ish, and people saw it being touched on lightly, and since then it's just kind of grown bigger and better, and I can completely understand why it has. If you look at social media, people use it in so many different ways, but with UGC for your brand, it kind of shows the honesty and the authenticity of the brand that you are. So I think it's a way for users to kind of see, the quality of what your products are and what your brand is and how honest you are. Because I think there is a whole stigma with social media that things can easily be faked.
Yep.
But with UGC, you don't have that, because you have everyday people showcasing how they use those products in their day-to-day lives. And it's such a simple little tool that people didn't really think about before. But, if you watch those videos, then you can see, oh, you know what, actually, I can see how that could be useful to me. And it's little things like that which are just really, really important. So it surprises me that people didn't really do it before.
Yeah, I know. And I think like because it's the actual physical product that's in front of you that you're seeing. So like you said, you can't fake it. It's not like you can't use AI to, create an image of the actual product. You've got the product physically in your hands.
Yeah.
And like I see it all the time. I see UGC content all the time, and I just think it's so powerful to create like all the unique selling points on the product. And you can do it in such a short form content, can't you? You can do it in like a 15-second or 30-second reel, can't you? And be really creative with it moving forward as well.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing to remember, is kind of like how creative you can showcase it. Because like I said, now that so many brands have picked it up, you want to stand out even more. So you need to think of those out of the box ways that you can show the product, or the out of the box ways that you can capture the user in, I think it's now like 1 or 2 seconds, because otherwise they're just going to flick past it. So yeah, I always preach on how important UGC is, but now you have to go and look at it into even more detail and think, what are those hooks that's going to grab someone to push them to go to my social media page or to go to my website and things like that.
I think there's a lot more into it than what people think as well. So a lot of people would just think, oh, it's just like a 15-second video of just a product and stuff like that. But there's so much more that you have to consider with the product. Like you said there, with creating a hook at the beginning, because people's attention span is, what is it, 2-3 seconds, something like that, maybe less than that.
Probably.
So yeah, 100% you have to monetize that a little bit as well with the content that you're creating. Do you think like TikTok started like UGC content?
I think it has. I would say that with TikTok you go even shorter, and I also, the difference for me between kind of TikTok and the other social media platforms is I will have less clips in a TikTok video than I will in an Instagram, because I feel like Instagram kind of guarantees quality, and when I'm creating a video for Instagram, even though it is 15 or 30 seconds, there's probably at least 15 or 30 clips of 1 second or less. So even though it's so short, it's a lot of work. Whereas with TikTok, because it's only being introduced, a little bit later in the game, then they're not there yet. So you can have longer clips at the moment. And I'm sure maybe in 6 months that might change. You never know, as it always does. But yeah, I think that's the difference. So that's why I always say to people, don't shy away from other platforms, because you can have longer clips with TikTok than you can for Instagram, and that might be better for you.
It depends on the user, wouldn't it, really? And who is actually interested in your content. We was actually talking about that earlier, about keeping up to date with trends and stuff like that. And you're right, short form content might not need to be 15 seconds in like 3 months time. It might be like long form content with like 1 minute videos that people might start watching as well. So
yeah,
keeping up to date with it is definitely one thing that we need to all stay on top on.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess that's kind of the fun of it as well. I think one thing that I can see is there are a lot of trends that come and go really, really quickly, but I wouldn't identify UGC as a trend. It's just like a new form of marketing, really. And regardless of how the algorithm changes or how the different social media platforms change, you can manipulate UGC in little bits to make sure it still fits what's happening with the algorithm, which is really good.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like you said earlier, with like Instagram and TikTok, like I sort of agree. I think like Instagram is more of a quality based platform, where on TikTok, like you just see so many videos where, you know, you can tell that the content isn't really being thought about that much. It's just like just a video of someone and it's, you know, just a few seconds long, but it could go viral.
Yeah.
Where with Instagram, you need to take a little bit more time with the actual content, I think.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
because it's more quality.
Definitely. I think with TikTok, you can't predict things that go viral, whereas with Instagram, if you've done your research and you've done your planning, you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really interesting to kind of see both platforms play out and how they evolve. And I think that's kind of one of the benefits of my job, because I like that it's constantly changing and that I have to keep on learning new things.
Yeah.
So I can understand how, you know, to a brand, it can be a little bit daunting because you probably learn how to do something for so long and then in a click it changes.
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of why I'm here.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think, because obviously you've got social media platforms, so there's a lot of like third-party apps that you can use as well for like creating content. So what would you say was the best sort of like app that you could use to, you know, create content and put all the content together for social media?
I'm a huge advocate of CapCut.
Yeah,
that is my absolute favorite. Yeah, I mean, you can just do everything on it, and I mean, I do pay for the pro, but you don't really need it. And it just has all the tools in simple places, and once you know how to use them, you can really manipulate it. And I think, you know, going back to those platforms, I even use kind of TikTok and Instagram to search for tips on how to use CapCut and new ways to edit to make fun content, because a hook doesn't have to be just vocal, it can be shown through the editing. So yeah, definitely 100% CapCut all the way. Yeah,
CapCut's incredible. I'd use it personally myself. I don't create like UGC content that much, but even with like the short form videos that I do, like speaking videos and posts and stuff like that, I always use CapCut because it's user friendly, which is one thing that a lot of people like. It's user friendly to create videos. So yeah, I completely agree with that. With regards to like content, so with like competitors and stuff like that, do you, when you've got a product and you're looking to create UGC content with it, would you look at other competitors with that, or like within that niche, or would you sort of know straight away what sort of content that you could create with the product?
I think you definitely need to do your research, because there are certain USPs that obviously is like attractive to audiences, and you want to make sure you capture that. Well, I definitely do. So I do look at what works, what hasn't worked. You got to look at the good and the bad, and then I make my judgment call from there. So yeah, I do look at competitors, and that's actually something that I ask everyone when they do purchase the UGC package. Like, who do you look at? Where's it come from? Because we all do, and we can't say we don't, because everyone looks and has competitors, but it's just knowing how to kind of don't copy them, but also use that to your advantage. See what is working and what doesn't. Yeah,
because I think if you copy someone else's content, it's not going to be unique to the product, is it? And it's not going to be unique to the content that you're putting out.
No, exactly.
So it's always, I always say that all the time, like, look at competitors, but use it as like inspiration for you to be creative with the own content that you're going to be putting out.
Yeah.
So, 100% I agree with that. I think you have to be unique, because you've got to stand out. You've got to stand out. And if you don't stand out, you're just going to be, you know, in that same category as everyone else. And you'll never, you know, convert into sales and stuff like that. And I see with like UGC content as well, a lot of people use them as like the advertising side of things, and not just putting it out on like Facebook, Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. They actually use it for promotional services as well, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a brilliant way to use it for promotion, because like I said, it's authentic, and a lot of ads nowadays might not be. So I think that's what the difference is. And I think as well with UGC, you normally target the content towards such a specific audience. So when you do put that ad out, you know exactly who should be coming back to it, which is quite a kind of important key to mention. And that's something that's always playing on my mind when I'm creating the content and doing the research. I'm like, right, okay, who could this potentially be shown to, whose feed is coming up on, and things like that. So yeah, as long as the content is made correctly, then 100% promote it as an ad, and hopefully it should bring in.
It's definitely more powerful.
Yeah,
definitely more powerful than like pictures, images. Like you got like carousels and stuff like that you can use on Facebook and Instagram, but if you're, you really want to push your product, I just think it has to be UGC. It has to be authentic.
And I think as well, like, you can bring in more detail than what just a static does.
Yeah.
You have that hook at the beginning, you have 10 seconds of information highlighting all the USPs, and then you have a call to action. So you have, a lot of information that the user is kind of sponging up really, versus what a static could just do.
And it's more interesting as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more interesting to watch. So you're not just looking at a picture, you're actually... because you can make UGC funny as well, can't you?
Yeah, I do. I really like the funny ones. One of my kind of favorite things that I see for UGC, and I think this is a huge tip, is having like a problem and a solution as a video. I think that just works so well. And if you're promoting that as an ad as well, and people think, oh my goodness, I have that problem every single day. When I wake up, I miss my alarm. How can I, I've done a video for an alarm clock before, and it made all these different sounds, and I miss my iPhone alarm all the time.
Yeah.
So with this one, it was just like a problem and a solution. It was solving something so simple in people's lives that they'd never realised that they needed before.
Yeah.
And it got loads of sales. So yeah, that tactic is a really, really good one.
It's looking into, like you said, people's problems and creating a solution for it moving forward. So yeah, I completely agree. What's your favourite platform?
Ooh, I use all of them, but I probably would have to say Instagram.
Yeah, okay.
Just because of all the little add-ons that they have. Like, I like the fact that I can post stories, I can have highlights, and I like to organise all my highlights on my page, pinned posts, all these little add-ons that they have to just make your content or your social media page really stand out, and kind of prove that if you put in the work, it can look really, really good. Yeah,
there's a lot of features on Instagram, I agree, like especially like with stories, emojis and all this sort of stuff. It's all fun stuff again. Do you know what I mean? People like tapping the screen, people like voting and using polls and stuff like that. So it's exciting for people. I guess with TikTok, you haven't really sort of got that just yet. Maybe they'll bring it in. I'm not too sure. They do stories on TikTok though, right?
They do, yeah. And that's actually something that's kind of growing to be a lot bigger at the moment. It's a really good way of kind of getting your content out there again. But I think with Instagram, I know that their kind of key point is so you can share content with people. Like, that's all that they really want, which is why they create those interactive tools. So I like that idea of kind of posting a video and know it's doing well simply because people are sending it to each other and commenting and interacting. Yeah. And I just find it a better way to build a community than what TikTok does. Yeah,
I think I personally myself, Instagram is a better platform, as you most probably know.
Do you have TikTok?
Yeah, I do have TikTok actually, but I don't really like use it to its full potential. I just use it for just a little bit of fun sometimes. But yeah, I think Instagram's just more of like a business platform. I know TikTok is a business platform as well, and people use it for business. But I just think, like you said, there's more features on Instagram that you can use for like a business aspect of things. So yeah, I agree with that. But it's been great talking. I'm sure you're gonna share a lot of value within the next few weeks as well. But thank you for attending this podcast. It's been good to chat.
Thanks, Josh.